Hi, I'm Randy Patterson, and this is Psychology Salon, a channel looking at various issues from a psychological perspective. Consider clicking the subscribe button below. This video is part of a series on assertive communication to mark the publication of the second edition of the Assertiveness Workbook. Today I'm going to talk a bit about the nature of anger and aggression. When people think about assertiveness training, they often imagine it's for people who are too passive and timid. They can't say no, they don't say what they think, they don't ask for help, they can't handle conflict. And that's true. Assertiveness skills can be really helpful for people like this. But there's another group of people who overuse the aggressive style of communication. They impose their opinions on other people. They criticize relentlessly. They intimidate. They demand that others do their bidding. And they look threatening. And assertiveness skills are just as much for them because the aggressive style is damaging their life, often as much or more than the passive avoidance style is damaging the lives of those other people. It harms them and it harms the people around them. Both the aggressive and the passive style come from the same place, a perception of threat. Something is going on that's being interpreted as a threat to the person. The difference is just in the response to that threat: fight or flight, attack or avoid. The assertive style comes from a different place altogether. The assertive stance is one where you realize that your actions are, for the most part, under your control. You're not trying to control other people. You're controlling yourself. And as a result, there's less sense of threat. Those other people are not going to control me. And I'm not going to think I have to control what they're doing. That's up to them. So aggression comes from stress just as much as passive avoidance does. And the emotional component is, well, you can guess, anger. But what's going on with that? Why are aggressive people so angry? How is it that they go from zero to outraged in an instant? Where is that coming from? And the answer is that it's coming from a story. Anger is almost always the product of a story that we are telling ourselves, but we don't realize we're doing it. Things that you do over and over and over again throughout your life become automatic. You brush your teeth in the morning without really thinking about it. You drive to work without thinking, what route am I going to take? You thank the barista and you're not even sure you did it. It's automatic. And automatic sequences tend to vanish from conscious awareness. Now, this is especially true of automatic sequences of thought. At some level, when you're holding your toothbrush, you know you're holding it. You can feel it in your hand. But thoughts are a bit more amorphous. It's easy for your mind to float around and do things without you realizing. You react negatively to someone, and it's only weeks later that you realize it's because they resembled your high school bully. It was all a story you were telling yourself. Cognitive therapists have a general principle we use. Emotions tend not to be crazy. Even when it looks completely weird that a person is feeling some really extreme emotion in some completely innocuous situation, the emotion itself isn't weird. It's not a misfire because the emotion is not about the situation. It's about what we are thinking about that situation, what we make of it, what we think is really going on. It feels to us like we're reacting to that event. My kid forgot to mow the lawn. That's what I'm reacting to. Listen, that is not what you're reacting to. You're reacting to a story about that event. Now, maybe your story is, gosh, he really fell hard in that soccer game yesterday. Maybe he's injured. Probably not, but it's possible that's what's going on. Maybe he has an exam today. Maybe he's tending to your sick partner. Maybe he's been washing all the windows on the house and he just hasn't gotten to the lawn yet. Given almost any event, there are multiple stories we can make up about it. Some are more likely, like, it's Saturday and he's slept in. Some are less likely, like, maybe he's been abducted by aliens. But your emotional reaction is based on the story that your mind has told itself about the situation. It's not based on the situation itself. And here's the deal. You might not even know what story you told. You might not think you were thinking anything at all. Most of our thinking goes on outside conscious awareness. It's automatic, happens without us realizing. And listen, much of it's garbage. Our initial automatic instinctive reaction to a situation is often completely off base. I've said it before on this site, but much of adulthood is not about learning to trust our instincts. It's about learning to distrust them because they're crazy, not accurate, not helpful. Now, there might be certain areas of your life where you routinely and automatically come up with the right idea and the right way to deal with it. But those are likely to be outnumbered by the areas where your first thought is your worst thought. Those are the situations that are giving you trouble. So we got somebody who has a hair-triggered temper. They get angry fast and often. Then they act on it, and either it just screws things up or it works in the short term, but it makes things worse in the long run. Those are the situations where we need to open the box and look at the wiring, because there's something funny about it. There are some odd assumptions or associations that just are not serving this person. So you notice this surge of anger that comes up the moment you realize your kid didn't mow the lawn. The mission is to look for the story. What narrative is your mind automatically constructing about this situation? At first, your answer is probably, beats the hell out of me. No idea. Keep listening. Think about the situation and your emotional reaction. What links them? What would make that emotion make sense in that situation if the thoughts were true? Now, you can even make guesses. Imagine it's somebody else in this situation. What are all the possible stories? He was abducted by aliens, but only because he went on Reddit and invited them to take him so he didn't have to mow the lawn. Okay. And then you can check and see if that pulls any strings inside. What does that feel like? Nothing? Okay, try another one. How about this? My son never mows the lawn without me nagging him 10 times about it. And there's a reason for that. He has no respect for me or anyone else. He thinks his parents are his servants, and it's our job to do everything for him for as long as he lives. I put in 15 years caring for this kid, and for what? Nothing. He doesn't care about me, he doesn't care about his other parent, and he will take whatever he can get and give nothing back. And there's a reason for that. It's because I failed. I screwed up somewhere along the line and produced this monster who is never going to get up off his ass and do anything with his life. It was a waste. 15 years of my life. For what? I could have used a condom and I'd be in Tahiti by now. Now, see what that one feels like. Any echoes? Maybe it needs some work. Maybe it's not dead on. See if you can come up with the story you're telling yourself. Because anger is a story, and the trick is to hear the story. If anger is routinely getting activated, one of two things is true. First, you're telling yourself a story that isn't true, or maybe one that's exaggerated, way out of proportion. In that case, you can rethink the story, certainly before you act on it. Second, maybe you got it right. Your kid is lazy and entitled. Fine. But has yelling and nagging really worked? Part of the story is that you getting angry is going to solve this problem. Okay, has it? If not, then that part of the story is wrong. Maybe you need to take a step back and approach this some other way. Maybe with assertive communication. Maybe by controlling what you do, not what they do. Listen, the lawn is your job, but it's up to you. I'm going to turn off the router on Friday nights when we head to bed, and I'll turn it back on Saturday as soon as the lawn is done. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to nag you. You choose. Or whatever. You can shift your strategy if the anger isn't working. And I'll give you a hint. Long term, anger almost never works. If you want to know why you're angry, make it a practice. Ask yourself the same question every time. What story am I telling about this? Because anger is a story. And until you know the story, you can't tell whether it's fiction or nonfiction. The Assertiveness Workbook, second edition, is now available from retail and online booksellers, along with my other books, How to Be Miserable and How to Be Miserable in Your 20s. And if you're interested in my online courses, you can find them at psychologysalon.teachable.com. Thanks for watching. See you again.